Hello, everyone. It's great to be back again. And this is another episode of The World Bridge. And today we're bringing to you another very interesting topic, a topic which I believe is very important, very necessary. And I know that we're going to get some big nuggets from that today. And before we go on, I just want to, say hi to my what should I call you guys now? My partners, and I have here Modupe. Do you want to say hi to our audience, Modupe?
Hello, everyone. Good to be back.
A little smile would help,
Of course.
Okay, it's nice to be back. Adimola, how are you doing today?
Awesome. Too blessed to be stressed. It's always great to be
Blessed to
here,
be stressed.
and to be able
I
to bring
love
some
that.
value, to our audience.
I love that. And that's it. We give God all the glory that we are here, we are alive, and that it is by His grace that we're able to do what we do. So without wasting time today, I'm going to go straight into our topic. I said very interesting topic. You may have already seen it on the screen. And the topic for today is, for our episode today, is actually building multiple income streams without losing your mind. We know it is very important, to have multiple income stream. So how do we do that without losing our mind? You can imagine losing your main source of income tomorrow. What would you do? What would be your backup plan? And for many people, that question brings anxiety because there is none. There isn't any. And the truth is, building multiple income stream isn't just smart. It is a necessity. And most time, fear just stop people, before they even start. Relying on one source of income today is very risky. It's not something that we can just sit down and just allow to happen. We need to diversify. We need to supplement our income in case something happens to the one that we the main one. So too many people get stuck because of fear, because they're afraid to start. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What are the, what if people don't, respond to me? So today we're going to be breaking that mindset. Fear is normal, but staying stuck is not an option. It's not an option. So let's talk about how to overcome the fear that's been holding you back, how to move from fear to execution. So we're going to be answering some questions that are, that we've heard many times over. And maybe before we started, we also had those fears and those concerns. So we're going to be answering those questions to help you to move from fear to execution. So my first question, I'm going to, let me see, who is smiling more?
You give it to the person who is not smiling more, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about choosing one lane at a time. When people try to build multiple income stream all at once and you're not even sure, okay, this and this, which one should I do? So the question is actually, if I have so many ideas, maybe I can do content creation, I can get into business, I'm thinking of investing, but how do I know which one to start with? How do I know which one to start with? Modupe, do you want to open up for us?
I'll take a stab at that. That's a very good question. Good evening. Greetings again, our viewers. And I hope you guys have all subscribed. Okay. If you haven't, you're doing yourself a whole lot of disfavor. Like I like to say, okay, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, you follow, you share as well. Don't audit out. Okay. Don't make us your little secret. Okay. Share us with another person who probably will learn from these things that we are, exposing out there. And somebody out there is having so many thoughts. They are, like you said, skeptical about starting. What should they do? This is how I like to look at it. We can't, I like to say that, Rome was not built in a day. Can we take baby steps? Okay, so if you have multiple ideas on your table, and because you're saying every single person is saying, go get yourself a multiple income, and yourself something that will protect you in the event, something should happen to your main source of income. I agree with that, but I say please be very, very calculative in what you're doing. You can't just start everything at once. You can't start 10 ventures at a time. Okay, so I would like to follow a particular thread or just a particular, strategy in which you can look into it. Every single person has something we're passionate about. We have something that we're so good at. Something like, okay, maybe you're able to make meat pies, right? You can do it very well. You have your recipe, your grandma's recipe that comes very handy. Nobody can beat it. Then why don't you start that, right? Something close to your art, something that really meets your passion, something you don't have to think before you can deliver, something you don't have to go through a learning curve, right? Because now you've mastered the craft in that area. I say start with that, build momentum, stay confident in that lane so that it makes, it makes a smooth running for you. Another thing, an individual can look at is in terms of, capital. There is no venture you're going to start today that you're going to start for free. Okay. You might get help, free resource here and there, but does it necessarily mean it's going to cost you zero? I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so. Which is the reason I said, well, maybe you have something skill set in you. I mean, even though you're not placing a value on that right now, it costed you something to be able to get that in place. But what if we look at it from the angle of how much capital can I afford? Somebody places before you three opportunities. One for you to start up is costing $10,000. Another one is probably telling you, okay, you know what? And between 4,005 and 6,005, you'll be good to go. And then you have another one that is just telling you this is what, barely $1,000. I would say from the cost perspective, sit down and identify which of these, right, meets my budget. Which of these can I afford without breaking the bank? All right. But not necessarily saying, well, this is lucrative. The 10,000 is lucrative. The 6,005 is lucrative. The 1,000 is lucrative. And then you start all the three at once. Just one person doing the three. Auntie Uche, Brother Bolaji, please don't do that. Okay. Let's take it easy. And you might also try to look at what is the potential of these various skills or ventures that you have out there. Sit down, do your due diligence. Gone are the days that we don't have a lot of people out there who have started a particular craft, right? We have it's not so common, right? People, it's more like a monopoly market. Gone are the days. But now you have a whole lot of people out there. You have research that you can go into and search. I want to start making art. There are a lot of people already doing it even before you. You see? So I can reach out to these people, do a little bit of research, ask questions. What do I have to do? How can I, navigate this path? Seek mentorship, right? And mentorship. Everything is not freebie. Everything is not freebie. If you try to do it yourself, and everything is not DIY, you try to do it yourself, most of the time you fall into trouble. So those would be my little send, Adebola, to any single person asking that question. I want to do all of these things. How can I get started with it? Few things to
Wow.
just take a stab at.
Wow, I think you mentioned the main points, or focus on something you're already skilled at, you have the skill to do, something that doesn't require a lot of money to get started, and
Mm-mm.
something that will, bring you income relatively quickly. So that's very important. And also remind yourself, you're not choosing forever. That's something you have to know. It's not something you're not choosing forever. You are choosing what to focus on right now. So that's one thing you should also have at the back of your mind. Thank you very much, Modupe. And uh, another question I want Demola to answer for our viewers is the question of, won't I fall behind if I don't do everything at once? Modupe said, don't do everything at once. Do this, do that. But some people feel, oh, I'm going to be wasting time. People are going to go ahead of me. So what do you
Yeah.
have to say about that?
Fear of missing out. FOMO. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big FOMO. And the funny thing is you don't want to be a jack of all trade, a master of none. Just imagine you see 10 rabbits and you want to go for all 10 rabbits. What are the odds or what are the chances that you will catch one if you're chasing all 10?
Zero.
Mhm.
Zero. So why don't you just identify one rabbit and go after that one rabbit compared to trying to go for all 10? And that's what happens with most of us. We're trying to do all things and we want to get everything done at the same time. Most
Mm.
times it doesn't work. You always feel stuck. And one of the things I want our viewers to understand that you will never feel ready because ready is not a feeling. Ready is a decision. Ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. So you might have so many things, just like Modupe talked about. She said, there are certain things, there are certain skill set that you have, there's certain things that you do, you're passionate about. You could do those things for free. They could wake you in the middle of the night and you do those things with excellence, with perfection. Why don't you start to identify those things? I'll use myself as a case, as a case scenario. Growing up, I always thought I had no talent. And there's no one that God hasn't given a gift or some
Oh, you have a
talent.
lot.
I always thought I had no talent because most of what I saw as talent was something that was more physical, that maybe you could do a business, you could sell something, you could. But for me, as I grew, a lot of my friends identified the fact that I was able to, I was able to be a very good mediator. I was somebody who was able to encourage people. And as I grew older, I started to identify that and I started to embody that to
Mm.
become somebody who's valuable by bringing impact. And that's something, and that's a skill that could be monetized, you know. And that's one of the things. So you don't need to do something big. So just identify something that you really like, that you're passionate about. And it's not something you're just passionate about. It's something that you could do that would also bring you income. Because you could be passionate about something and that thing might not bring you income. So find a way to monetize that. It's not just you just being passionate about something that wouldn't take you anywhere. So one of the things that I would definitely say is, don't feel like you need to do everything at once. Just start from where you are. Make a decision. Do something. Don't move too fast. Don't try to go too fast. Don't try to run everybody's lane because you could just imagine you're on the highway right now and all the cars on the highway are going. You're also on the highway. There'll be some cars on the highway that will have a tire puncture. Some of them got pulled over by the cops, but everybody's going somewhere. Could you imagine if you're just going with that person that is doing 80 miles per hour? You probably might miss your exit because you're
Mhm.
not focused on where you're going. So the key thing is focus. Identify what you like and how you could monetize that thing and just stay true to it till you become proficient on that before you do something else. Yeah. So that would
Wow.
be
Thank you, Ademola. So doing too much at the same time will only slow you down. All right. So you can only progress if you just start one at a time. Make sure that one is rooted. Then you can begin to add additional ones as time goes on. Okay. So let's talk about skills monetization. I heard you saying monetization at just at the end of your points, you mentioned monetization. So let's talk about skills monetization. And most people are already sitting on maybe income opportunities, things that they can do. They just don't recognize their skills as that valuable. So what if somebody feels, oh, I don't feel like I'm an expert. Who would pay me? Like, what do I have to offer if I have to start with the skill that I have, like Mudipe mentioned at the beginning? What do I
Mhm.
have to offer? How would you, what would you recommend for such a person, Mudipe?
Very good question. I going to tell you for a fact and also for free that those experts we see today, those me subject matter experts we see in whatever field, industry, name it, they started from somewhere. So they were just not born, right?
Mhm.
And then the nurses handed their mother and say, hey, that's it. There you go. That's a tech guru. No, they started from somewhere.
That would
Okay.
be great.
So that would be great, right? Okay. They started from somewhere.
Yeah.
They probably started from somewhere and also had their journey. Okay. If you sit down with them, you will find out that they also had learning curve effect take its turn on them. They grew, they mastered the craft. There were moments where they had to step back, go back again to the drawing board, revisit certain things. There were moments where I wouldn't call it, failure, because I'll just call it an attempt that did not go right the first time. Okay. So they had plenty of those moments before they now mastered the craft. Now, in the course of them mastering the craft, let's give them their flowers. They're called expert. So if you, for instance, you're coming in newly and you're saying, I have all of these things, innate skills and all that, but I'm not an expert yet. I beckon on you. Every one of us beckon on you. Please start wherever you are. It has nothing to do with proficiency. But what matters is your consistency.
Yeah.
You try
Wow.
to make a bowl of eba today. You made it with cold water and it looks all lumpy, lumpy. Even you cannot eat it.
I
The
wouldn't
guest you
even
were
try
trying
that.
to save, to serve rather, cannot even eat it. The next day you are like, I need to make this. I see it really made well. How can I achieve this? You go into your study, you research, you watch out. How do they literally make a big bowl of eba? You start learning. Oh, it's hot water. Maybe the second day you had lukewarm water, not hot water. You're still not going to get your desired result, but you continue in the journey. It is called commitment. When commitment means consistency, the result is mind blowing. I was under a tutorship earlier, today, and I listened to some of our revered coaches, in our field of industry. And one of the things they talked about is, I will value commitment over, proficiency or over, any individual who is saying, what, I'm there, I am, I can do it all. Be committed, stay consistent in the journey. You don't have to be an expert. Experts, they became an expert after a lot of time because they were not, they did not give up. They did not give up. There are no excuses in this journey. So that would be my 2 cents to that individual. And if I'll just like to just give it, a final thought on that, I will say that consistency every single time will beat intensity. Okay,
Mm,
because if you stay in
that's
the journey, you
powerful.
stay right in the course, you're rooted in it, there is no way you will get better. I just used a very good example and I'm trying to say about, let's take it a little further down. Whatever it is we find, and that's whatever it is your hand finds to do, make sure you stay diligent in it. Continue the journey. When you miss it, you go back to the drawing board, watch it over and over again. You will get it through. That will be
Mm,
my 2 cents, Debola.
wow. Thank you for that. It's consistency over time will beat intensity. Was that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. That is deep. So consistency is important. People don't pay for perfection. They pay for
Mm,
clarity, they pay for shortcut, they pay for results. So
Mm.
you have to be able to master your craft. Don't jump around, okay? You don't have to be an expert, but you have to stay at it and learn and be consistent so you can
mm-hmm.
give your best when the time comes. All right. Oh my goodness, this is coming interesting. I believe somebody is getting it. Somebody is getting what they need to get started, to get off from that comfort zone, that trap, and do what
Mm,
they have to do. Okay, so let's move on to another a very important point, and that will be time management. Okay, uh, balancing full-time job and family for people that have full-time work and they just want
mm,
to start their a second stream, just as a plan B, something to supplement income or just to fulfill that um, necessity of having multiple stream. So you have a full-time job and you have family, you have some other responsibility, and then you're wondering how you're going to juggle everything together. Uh, so if somebody is working full-time, they are tired when they get back from work and all that, and they feel that when am I supposed to build something when I'm exhausted most of the time and I
mm.
can't even don't know how to spare extra time to get something done. So Ademola, what do you think? Why would you uh what would you recommend for that person?
I mean, the real question that we should be asking ourselves is, if you look at myself and Bill Gates, does Bill Gates has 48 hours in his own day? And do I have 24 hours, or we all have 24 hours? The question goes to, what do we do in our 24 hours? Obviously, you're not going to work for 24 hours. So let's say you even work an 8-hour shift or a 10-hour shift.
Mm,
You still have 12 hours. You sleep maybe 4 to 6 hours. The key part is, when you do come home, let's say maybe you work a 9 to 5. After you get back from home, you do some little things, a little maybe 30, 60 minutes investing in your time. You you're working full time to bring in an income, but you could be doing part time actually to fulfill your destiny. How about that? You start in a little 30 to 60 minutes every day of the week, maybe even if it's 3 times in a week, just to become consistent in that little craft, in that thing you're building, in that new venture that you want to go into. So I believe that we need to, how much of that time do we spend on social media scrolling? How much of that time are we on the phone with somebody and just chit chatting? So why don't we find time when we say there's no time?
mm,
The question is, what does our schedule look like? Are we scheduling it in? Your prayer time, you could schedule it in. The time you spend with the kids, you could schedule it in. The time you're going to spend working on that business, you could schedule it in. It's all about clarity, getting clarity of where you want to go. So everybody has 24 hours. We just need to know how to manage our 24 hours, because yours is not different from somebody else. And if somebody else can do it in the same 24 hours to have built wealth or to have gotten to where they want to be at, your first job is to sit down and look for clarity, to map out your day. Take an inventory of your day. What are you really doing in your 24 hours? What does your 24 hours consist of? And now you can start to break it down from maybe 7 to 8, 9 to maybe 9, maybe by 9, the kids are in bed. If you have younger children, between 9 and 10, maybe that could be that time you're spending to listen to, to to enrich that skill of yours, to become better, to become proficient. Maybe you're reading a book, you're spending that time. So there's always time. It's just the ways, how do we look at it? And what are we investing our time to, so that we can have that desired, maybe it's finance, maybe it's freedom of income you want, or maybe you want to spend more time with your kids because now you want freedom of time, but you still have to put in the work. Without putting in the work, somehow it's not going to magically happen. So we all have time. It's just, how do we now identify what we do in our 24 hours and look for times to schedule those times, a little 30 minutes consistently. There's a book called Atomic Habits. Just that habit, let it become a habit. Maybe 9 to 9:30, you continue on that, and you continue to go that way. And before you know, it compounds. A month from now, 2 months from now, you're a different person.
Love it.
Yeah, that's great. You just you spoke. I mean, you said it all, Ademola, and that's very important. You know, what you don't create time for, you don't get done. Create time
Mm-mm.
for it. Put them in your schedule. You know, intentionally create time for it. You know, like like one of I think one of our colleagues once said something like that. He never asks people that when will you have time that for me to call you. You always say, when can you create time? Because we don't have time. But if we intentionally create the time for something, we'll get it done. All right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we will rather take a second job and we won't feel that, oh, that's exhausting. But let's not waste time. Let's just, there's one other question very important before we go today that I just want Modipe to quickly touch on. And that's you know, building without losing your mind, which is what we started with. So, you know, there's the pressure to do more. There's a pressure that, oh, I'm lagging behind. There's a pressure that, oh, I don't see changes. I don't see a progress. And, you know, we're scared, we're anxious. We just feel we're wasting time. So, you know, if somebody feel like they're always behind, everyone online, everyone seems to be doing more, everyone around, things are moving, and I don't feel I'm moving. Well, you know, how would you help that person out? What would you
I'm gonna
recommend?
start.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start by saying, calm down. Let me
Calm
explain.
down.
Demola
Calm
said it
down.
all. We all have our journey. My journey is different from Demola's journey and is different from Demola's journey. So that's going to be the same thing with any single individual. Even if you're a
Sorry,
twin,
I'm giving you 2 minutes.
even if you're a twin or even if you're a triplet, thanks for the warning. You have your journey, okay? So embrace your journey with all intentionality. Don't start looking at your neighbor's journey or the Joneses' journey. When we start getting that into our mindset, it messes everything up. There's nothing you can say about it. So every single person needs to sit down and have their mindset rewired. And you know for a fact that you're on this journey for yourself by yourself, right? Of course, with the help of the Trinity. But how can you sit down and literally embrace this such that you're not being distorted by all the noise? I call the social media happenings and all that, all those flashes and all that, I call them noises. Okay. So if an individual is, entangled or entrapped in that pattern, they will lose their focus. Now, you should be your competition, not the outside world. So, which means, how did I fare in January? I set all of these goals for myself. I scheduled everything in just like Demola said, just like you said, Demola. And so I'm looking at February and saying, oh, how did I fare in January? Am I getting better? Am I building momentum? This is February right now. What can I do better? So I am in competition with myself, right? Now I'm in February, I'm in competition with myself on how have I fared in January. I will constantly stay in competition with myself and not with my neighbor, not with my twin sister, not with my triplet sisters, right? So that I can stay focused and run my race and run my race with all joy and with all satisfaction, loving on myself, embracing the journey. Because if we sit down here and tell you that you won't find roadblocks, we're just telling you lies, okay? Because there will be roadblocks, there will be certain barriers in the way. So, but when I begin to look at myself intentionally, then I will get the journey right. So it's all about the mindset. It's all about transparency and honesty to yourself, because you can do it. We all can testify if we have the time to tell you about our stories and our journey. Those are the things that made us stand the test of time. And you too can do it. Be our guests. Thank you, Debola.
Enjoy the
Wow.
process. Enjoy the process.
Yes.
Don't rush it.
Don't rush it. You know, face your part. Don't get distracted by what's happening with somebody else. Be your own competitor. So That's it for tonight. Building multiple streams of income is quite powerful. It's a necessity, like we have established, but it should not come at the cost of your clarity, at the cost of your health, or
Mm,
at the cost of your peace. All right. Build slowly, build intentionally, and trust that steady progress. Trust that progress, will take you further than rushing will do. All right. And remember, you are not just building income, you are
mm.
building stability. All right. A big thank you to Modupe and Demola for another amazing job
Signing
today.
out. Thank
And
you.
today's session was truly very impactful. Even I got some nuggets. I was writing some things down. So remember, we go live every Saturday with fresh and engaging topics. So don't miss our next session. Make sure you join us and remember to subscribe, like, and share to spread this word. Spread this word. People need it. Thank you and God bless.
Take care, viewers.